Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Carahsoft Technology would like to welcome you to our ServiceNow Federal Tech Talk, Improving Government Service Delivery, Digitalization, and Automation of Licensing and Permitting. Joining us today with ServiceNow, we have Brittany Thorburn, Solution Sales Executive of Government Workflows, and Jimmy McDaniel, Senior Advisory Solution Architect of Government Workflows. Before we get started, I would like to quickly go over a few housekeeping items. Please note that all lines have been muted to reduce any kind of background noise during the presentation. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please use the Q&A feature on the bottom of your screen, and we will do our best to answer by the end of the presentation or follow up with you offline. This webinar is being recorded and a copy will be emailed to you. Just to tell you a little bit about Carahsoft, we are a trusted government IT solutions provider supporting public sector organizations across federal, state, and local government agencies, including education and healthcare markets. At this time, I'd like to hand the floor over to our speakers. Brittany, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this month's Federal Tech Talk focused on digitalization and automation of licensing and permitting. We'll be covering the importance of service delivery in government agencies today and our new playbook for license and permits within our public sector digital services solution. Today, you'll hear from myself as well as my colleague Jimmy McDaniel as your speakers. My name is Brittany Thorburn. As Sarah's mentioned, I'm a solution sales executive for our government workflows division, so supporting agencies across the federal government with different customer experience projects. Jimmy, I'll pass it over to you for a quick introduction as well.
Thank you very much. As everyone mentioned, I'm Jimmy McDaniel, and I am Brittany's counterpart on the technical side. So I help our government customers understand how ServiceNow solutions could improve their mission objectives.
Awesome. Thanks, Jimmy. So for today's agenda, we plan to walk through a few different topics. First, focusing a little bit on the growth and priorities for customer experience in service delivery across government. Next, we'll touch a little bit on our solutions for digitalizing and automating licenses and permits. I will hand it over to Jimmy to walk through a solutions demonstration of our license and permit playbook application. And then we'll wrap up with a customer story and any questions that you all have. Feel free, as Sarah mentioned, to put them in the chat and we'll try to either address them live or through Q&A. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the content. So as you all may be aware, there are several priorities established across government leadership and agencies around the improvement of government service delivery. It's known that there are many challenges that government agencies face today when it comes to customer experience. But even though there are challenges, agencies really must adapt and create modern customer experiences, which as seen through priorities that the president has established, as well as the executive order on improving customer experience and rebuilding trust, and through the president's management agenda. So for those that don't know, the president management agenda outlined 3 key priorities. First being the federal workforce. It's really the commitment to the federal workforce that the president is trying to outline, and stating that they need to be using systems to make sure they're equipped and empowered to effectively deliver services to the public. Next would be that customer experience. So really improving the experience for those government services that are delivered out to the public and to businesses. So whether that's families, people, organizations, and communities across America, all of those want to have the same experience that they might get in a commercial sense from the government. And then lastly, government business. So this is really a priority on allowing agencies to focus on how they manage their government service delivery and model it more as a business. So it really can, provide better outcomes for improving both of those, previous priorities around customer experience and federal workforce when you're operating more as a business. So these themes and priorities are what agencies should really consider when it comes to their modernization journey. And licensing and permitting is definitely one of those services that are common across government. So a common, as I mentioned, a common mission service is that licensing and permitting. And this use case is really ripe for digitalization and automation. As we discussed, in the previous slide, the market is shifting and there's a lot of growing demand and priorities for consumer grade services. So in addition to this, hybrid work is also here to stay, and your federal workforce needs to have ways to adapt and complete work easily in a modern fashion. And digital transformation is really at the forefront of every agency's strategy. There's a need for agility to deploy digital technologies and improve service. So in combination with these growing trends, there's also a lot of challenges which tend to bog down a license and permit process today. These challenges range from, aging systems, siloed information and data, which result in a lot of manual process and, historically the paper way to manage these forms and applications. And so the combination of these market trends and the challenges that agencies face really create an opportunity for license and permits to be modernized for a better experience for your customers and for your government workforce. So now exactly what is a license and permit and how do we support it? So licenses are official documents that grant a person or a business authority to perform an action or activity. These usually have some type of limited restriction. While permits are official documents for a business or a person to perform an action or use a public good, and these tend to be pretty restrictive, usually around a time-bound limit. And they can also include an inspection process as well. So both license and permits are used for a variety of use cases, ranging from construction to environmental or agricultural. And licenses as well, they're not just necessarily for personal use like your typical driver's license, but there are many licenses out there that large businesses use for transportation and shipping. So really the variety of this use case spans across a number of government agencies, whether that's federal, state and local, or different types of services that government are providing. Now, as the importance of this idea of modernization really grows, licensing and permitting is a use case that we're investing in as a company to develop an out-of-the-box application and playbook for. So built on our public sector digital services solution, the license and permit playbook enables governments to really simplify and modernize the delivery of license and permits from the start of your request all the way through resolution. So this can really help increase transparency and trust, improve that constituent experience, and empower your agency staff to deliver faster and in a consistent manner, all on a single platform. So let's break down how this solution provides value to our government customers. And the capabilities that are in this solution really align to four main areas: the digitalization of applications, increased productivity, automation of operations, and improvement in reporting and visibility. First, it's how we make it easy for constituents and businesses to request license and permits. So through the digitalization of applications, we can deliver a frictionless experience for applicants, really give them the option to apply and collaborate with your agency on the channel of their choice, whether that's through a portal, mobile, email, or chat. We really provide many different options for your stakeholders to engage with you and for you to provide that consistent, secure service each and every time. Next would be how we enhance your internal workforce and fuel productivity. So we have guided experiences for employees with stages and steps, what we call playbooks, for intake, review, process, and a decision across a permitting lifecycle. And this helps increase productivity by reducing manual efforts and maybe swivel chairing between systems to complete work, and really gives you a one-stop shop workspace for you to view all of your license and permitting data, the application history, for you to be able to easily have all that information at your fingertips, again, without having to manually go between systems to view and access that information, ultimately making it a better experience for your internal workforce. Now, when it comes to enhancing the process itself and the operations, we can increase efficiencies using things like AI and machine learning, as well as use frameworks to quickly help deploy new permit types and create easy ways to share work and tasks across multiple departments and groups. So that really helps with better collaboration and transparency, really connecting that end-to-end story between the different groups that need to be involved in the process. And lastly, our solutions really help enhance reporting and visibility, because we can capture analytics throughout the entire process and gather those insights for auditing purposes. You can quickly build new dashboards that are tailored to the KPIs that matter to you most, and real-time data in the system, so you can easily make decisions and report that back up to leadership. So I hope this gave you a little bit of background information on our approach to licensing and permitting, and some of the value and importance of this use case, especially when it comes to digital transformation. So I'll pause here if we have any questions before we hand things over to Jimmy, who will take a dive into the platform and walk through our solution demonstration.
So I haven't seen anything come in through QA or chat at the moment. So
Awesome.
those two lines of communication are still open. So just some housekeeping. If you do have questions, please post them in the chat or in the Q&A. We'll be happy to field them as they come in. So as I take over the share and start the demonstration, Brittany can monitor those channels. Can you do me a favor, Brittany, and stop your share so I can start mine?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, very good. And just let me
Looks
know
good.
when you can see it. Perfect. Well, all right. Thanks again. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Jimmy McDaniel, and I'm a senior solution architect here at ServiceNow. And as I mentioned earlier, my job really is to help our government customers understand how the ServiceNow platform can help you in your specific mission spaces. Today, we're talking specifically about licensing and permitting. And so before we dive into the platform, let's take a look at a high-level journey map. And this aligns with the out-of-the-box licensing and permitting playbook that we will see. You can kind of break this down into four high-level milestones, of a licensing and permitting process. Some are going to be more complex, some are going to be less complex, but the way that we approach playbooks in the platform, particularly those that we have delivered via a store app, is we've met with many customers across many different industry spaces, and distilled these processes down into digestible and repeatable processes for which you can then extend into your specific licensing and permitting needs in this case. But it all starts with an intake. So we also believe that ServiceNow needs to be omni-channel. So it's that ability to support those stakeholders that you serve on the channel of their choice. We meet you as an organization and your stakeholders where you are. And that intake is no different. Today we're going to see a portal interface, but you're gonna have situations where those intake forms are still PDFs, right, that have to be filled out in long form. Don't worry, we can help you through that process as well. So we can use capability in the platform called Document Intelligence, which uses our machine learning capabilities to extract relevant information from those forms and populate specific data points inside of your process. And it allows you to then get them into those repeatable processes that is really going to be designed to improve process and improve experiences for those internal stakeholders as well. But it walks through a review cycle. The point behind this is to make sure that you're capturing the right information and you're getting the tasks in front of the people that are most capable of handling a specific task or a case, all the way through with integrations like integrating with certain payment processors, or maybe it's some approvals, all the way through a decision where you're actually able to generate a some level of a document, or some level of a license, some digital document that can live with that external stakeholder. Now, while this is a high-level journey map, it does kind of cover many different personas. We're just going to see a few just for the sake of the demo, for the just to keep it a little simple, and we're not switching around to 20 different screens. But one persona that's not covered here is that leadership persona, right? We talk about the ability for dashboarding and reporting and just understanding the state of your business. So I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't really cover that. So we'll see that as well towards the end. So we're going to switch over to that first persona, which is a person by the name of Robert Bells. Robert is a business owner. He is in need of an importing and exporting license. He is with Vandelay Industries, for those Seinfeld aficionados. And so what he really needs is a way for him to understand what the licensing and permitting requirements are, and a way for him to start that process as easily as possible. The first thing he does is he goes over to our government portal. And what this is going to allow him to do is find the information he needs and really connect him to a process to get the process started. First thing he sees here in the middle is a search. Let's see, we've searched before, but we're going to say he needs a federal license. Let's say he doesn't know a whole lot about the license process. And so he does a search across, some configurable data sources. Now, you all know that government agencies are very document rich, right? There's your knowledge rich organizations where you publish a ton of information, which is all helpful to that stakeholder. But sometimes when you have information that's potentially very deep in your knowledge repository, you need a way to distill that down and make it a little bit more consumable for that stakeholder, that external stakeholder. So what you're seeing here is the ServiceNow's Now Assist capability, which is summarizing the top number of results that come back from our AI search engine, and really gives Robert a synopsis of the article without having to dive into this. Now, this is configurable, so you can do the top one, maybe two, top three articles, but then he can dive into that if that's the article that he actually that he needs. And so now he's able to integrate with or interact with our out-of-the-box knowledge management capability, which again is to connect him to the information that he needs to complete a particular applications. And the great thing about this is he can really interact with this and actually provide feedback to your knowledge management organization to ensure that the content that's being produced is resonating with the stakeholders. So he reads through the knowledge article. He finds the right information. He's going to jump back to the homepage, and then he's going to see that he can browse services. Now, this uses a capability in the platform called Service Catalog, which is really that portfolio of services that you as an organization would offer to your stakeholders. In this instance, it's probably a plethora of different licenses or permits, but this could be anything inside of your service delivery arena. So he sees that there's a license for importing and exporting. Now, this is a very generic license. We all know that licenses are probably more complex than this. They do require a lot more information on the initial intake. That's quite all right. We understand that that there's going to be a time when you need to collect more information. So these intake processes can be tailored to those specific needs. The first thing he sees, though, are some data points that look to already be filled out. The great thing about the system is that we already know who he is. We know he's with Vandelay Industries. We know that he's probably, submitting this on his behalf, but he also sees other contexts in his organization. And that's really where you're starting to see the power of the platform and the underlying government data model and how it allows you to power some of these processes. Because what it's doing out of the box for you that may not be immediately apparent is providing that data separation, which all organizations need, and it's hierarchical. So that if Vandelay Industries, for instance, has multiple subsidiaries, Robert has the ability to see up and down his organization, but other contacts in his organization may only be able to see those for which they have been assigned. So it's providing that capability out of the box for him. So he goes to fill out the rest of the information that he does need to fill out. So he would like to communicate via email. The license type is, we'll just say, importing of domestic cargo. Total fees are being calculated, and we're actually able to capture his signature. Depending on your use case, it might just be, he types in his full name, or it could be that he needs to draw his signature. Either way, or we can integrate with whatever signature or e-sign services that you're currently subscribed to. And then the next thing is he'll add an attachment. So maybe he needs to upload a driver's license, for instance. So we'll choose this driver's license photo for a second. And then he's okay, he's looked at it, he's filled in everything he needs to, all of the required fields are here. And now he's going to submit. Now what's happening here is it is submitting his application, but it's also giving him a conduit into the process. One of the things that we hear a lot about when we talk to government agencies is when their stakeholders submit requests into the organization, a lot of times it falls into a very deep well. So they have no visibility into the process, which all that's going to do is make your processes take a lot longer. So just to make sure we're all on the same page here, one of the things that ServiceNow is committed to is, and as Brittany pointed out, it aligns well with the President's management agenda, is that we are committed to improving the experiences for both those external stakeholders as well as the internal stakeholders, but also really committed to that operational excellence. So as you're improving the experience and connecting that external stakeholder to the process, you're ensuring that you're meeting your SLA requirements for some of these longer running processes. And that's exactly what he sees here. He sees information that's been submitted. He sees all the attachments that are have been submitted as with the initial application. And we're actually going to come back to this in a moment to see how we can continue to interact with the system. I'm gonna stop here for a second, Brittany, and see if there's been any questions that have come in.
Yes, one just came in. How is the document uploaded securely?
That's a really good question. So we support, well, for one, all of our government instances and instances in general are securing the data in transit, right? So using, encryption, over the HTTPS protocol. However, we can also enable encryption at the upload, right? So that we're actually securing the document inside of the repository, so it can also be encrypted at rest. Does that answer your question? I guess we'll
no
see.
other questions as of right now.
All right, perfect. So we'll leave Robert here for a moment, then we'll jump over to John Jason. So he is our internal stakeholder. He is our licensing and permitting analyst. He also is really interested in having a nice, concise workspace where everything is presented to him. Everything that's presented to him allows him to solve the case quickly and efficiently. The first thing that he sees is a personalized dashboard that has KPIs and metrics that are tailored to him and his team. This is configurable though. Every team's different. Different teams have different KPIs. So this dashboard can be tailored to surface that particular information. But you're not writing code to do that. You're using a low code capability that's been, that's in our reporting and dashboarding capabilities that allow you to easily construct and configure new dashboards for those different teams. The second thing he's going to do is log himself in, make himself available. Now, what that's doing is it's connecting him to several queues, and one of the things that a lot of organizations are interested in is ensuring that these requests that come in get to the right person to handle these requests in the most efficient manner. We have a capability called advanced work assignment, which allows you to apply business rules to incoming work. So this could be regionally driven. So like, let's say John is only supposed to service those requests coming in for US East, or it could be skills driven. So let's say he's the only one that's really capable of understanding this particular licensing and permit. It could be that he's the one that's online. So any number of business rules that can be configured to get the work into the hands of the right person. Now we see that this case has come in. Let me just make sure that's the right number. Yes, it is. So this is one that has come in from Vandelay Industries, and so what we see here is, let me close that, is the next thing he sees is that the context of the workspace is changed to really immerse him into that process. So when we talk about that licensing and permitting playbook, this is exactly what we mean. That process that I showed you, intake, review, process, and decision, it's front and center, so that when he opens this particular case, he sees exactly where it is at any given time and the specific activities that come along with this intake process. Now, this is a longer running process, so we actually have a few more of these cases staged so that we can fast forward a little bit through the process. But let's walk through what he's really looking at now. So again, he knows he's in the intake stage and he's confirming the application details. He's got contact information for Robert front and center, as well as any other license or permit is being surfaced as well. This is also configurable. So whatever data that is most important for the resolution of this license application can be configured here. And we're also bringing the ability for our Now Assist large language model to help assist our license and permitting analysts. Now, this does require a little bit more information than what we've gathered here for this particular license or permit, but we're able to summarize this. If you're gathering a lot of information, you're able to configure it to where it will summarize information that's come in. This is particularly helpful when you're handing these off from one person to the next. They can get a quick glimpse, where things are in the process as it moves through. Over here on the right-hand side, we have our contextual side panel where Agent Assist lives. Again, we've got some record information, some timelines, and any active SLAs. We've got Agent Assist, the Agent Assist panel, which can dynamically surface specific information. Could be a knowledge article. It could be previous license and permit cases. It could be to help you look for duplicates, just to ensure that, the right information is being surfaced, as you're moving through this process. Of course, we have related data. So these are all of the potential pieces of information that are going to be helpful throughout the life cycle of this process. So it could be, maybe there's an escalation, maybe there's open case tasks. So we'll come back to this in a moment. Some approvals, could be, different related cases or appointments or what have you. All of these related records are also configurable, to surface the information that's important for your specific license or licensing process. So now we're going to jump back here to the middle where we see he sees the application that has come in. We see that it's for Robert Bell's with Vandelay Industries. We also see some other information for the license. I don't have fees wired in, but we have capability that allows you to calculate fees. So if you've got complex licenses that have multiple endorsements, you as an organization may charge for each additional endorsement. So we have decision table capability that allows you to quickly and easily calculate those fees as it moves through the process. We're going to mark this stage complete. Now, what's really great about playbooks in the ServiceNow platform is that they're designed to be prescriptive. So you'll see that it's walking John through the process start to finish. But the great thing about that too is it's helping him solve the issue, but it doesn't matter where he is in his knowledge journey with the organization. He could be the most seasoned professional, he could be new to the organization, but everyone follows the same process, right? So there's adherence to process here, and then it's also an elegant way to mix those human elements, those cognitive elements that are required, and also some automation at the same time. So as he steps through, like let's say he needs to add a related party, this is another out-of-the-box capability in the system. So he can add specific representatives. So some of those complex permits that you'll see that you'll have sometimes are going to be submitted, by a law firm perhaps, or maybe Vandelay Industries wants their law firm to help construct or provide information for this complex license. So we'll add a contact to this. We'll just pick one, and then you can set responsibilities here. They could just be an authorized representative or any number of configurable roles that you might have. And we'll go ahead and save this, and we'll also mark this stage complete. And as you'll see, we're moving through the process automatically, but we also have to be kind of flexible, right? So it's prescriptive, but flexible. So we have a case task that's waiting. And so if I look at my open case tasks, I actually have two. And so these are also configurable. So different licenses are going to require different elements, additional elements from that external stakeholder. So we've generated a couple of tasks for Robert. So we'll flip back over to Robert Bell's, and now we'll actually see that we've got some related tasks for him to complete. Now these are just very generic at the moment, but we'll go ahead and finish this one task. We're just going to mark it complete just so we can move through the process. And Brittany, as I'm marking some of these complete, do we have any questions coming in?
Yes. Let's see here. I did answer one. Someone wanted to know what the LPC standard for in the number of the case. I said license and permit case, but that can obviously be configured to if you have specific ID formats for permit types, etc. Correct.
Now I don't want to, that's a great question, actually. That LPC is it identifies the process that we're walking through, not necessarily the license number. So you can configure however your licenses are going to be generated. What we're not assuming that we're going to do that. A lot of systems have their own numbering systems that you'll have to integrate with to get the next number for that. So that can be configured in the platform as well.
Awesome. We have another question. Is the business contacts there meaning the applicant's contacts or just back-end folks the processor needs to associate?
I'm assuming that we're talking about the this related party. Is that what we're talking about? I'm assuming these could be any number of related parties, right?
Yes,
So we are not limiting you to just external stakeholders. They could be internal. So however you'd like to configure that.
Can the contact be a group email?
Can the contact be a group email? I don't see why not. Typically when you say Actually, let me qualify that. When you say the contact be a group email, are you talking about the external contact? Or are you just talking about having an email that's going to be a repository for communication?
Yeah, we might want to take that one offline, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can,
that could,
the contact is associated with, whichever email that external contact provides. So whether that's a group of people, it can be either or, right, Jimmy?
yeah,
And then when we communicate out to that contact, it would go to that email.
correct. And that's another thing too. The great thing about the platform is that we are tracking everything that happens as part of the life cycle of this case. So activity stream is one way to see that. So we'll see in the activity stream everything that's gone on, but you also have access to all the emails that have gone out. So just so you can see what's happened through, so you can see that the system has sent out 5 or 6 emails along the way and who that they're actually going to. Okay, let's jump back to my other related data. So I have no more case tasks. So far those have been complete. So we see that we've got this task was closed. We'll see that this review fee and disclaimer task was also closed by Robert. And now we're on to the review application. Now, this can be configured a number of different ways from here. You could conduct a consultation. So if you wanted to do a call, with the external stakeholder, you can certainly do that. Have that configured as part of this process in the initial phase, and then also collect payment somehow, right? So a lot of organizations use pay.gov. Several of our partners have integrated with pay.gov. We've also we've also I think it's roadmap. I need to confirm this that there is a pay.gov spoke coming out, but we will follow up with that. But we're going to jump to another license in progress. So that's already at the payment process stage. And so what you'll see is we're moving to review. And what that's actually doing is unlocking that next lane for us. And so it's going to move through. And this is where, through the review process, you can have a configurable list of requirements for a particular license. So did they upload personally identifiable documentation? We can see that on our attachments. They actually did. So this is that driver's license that we uploaded earlier. Maybe there's a letter of authorization. Maybe there's some type of medical certification that they need to have as part of this license. And then we can mark that complete. And then as we move through, we'll see that, maybe there's some other credentials that they have to provide, to this, like, do they have CPR certifications, whatever these might be. These are all configurable. Different licenses or permits have different eligibility requirements. You can configure that in the platform to ensure that you're to ensure that those stakeholders that are applying do meet the requirements for a particular license. And at this point, we can request inspections. There's a lot of permits that require a physical inspection. Some organizations have different departments or groups that actually do that, do those inspections. So you can request an inspection here. It'll send a work order over to that group to actually go on site. So if you think of like a construction permit is just a good example, you need to put some eyes on a particular part of that property. You'll send an inspector out to do so, which they can then come back and report findings. We're going to just skip inspections for the sake of the demo. And as you'll see, we're continuing to move through the process automatically. And we've actually moved on to the process step. And if there's a need to go off for additional inspections, you can configure that in the platform. We have this concept of optional activities. So while you don't see it in this list, when you request an inspection or request an additional inspection, you'll see that it'll continue to add tasks here as we move along. Again, we're just for the sake of time, we'll skip inspections to this point, because what I want to do is get to the decision step. And so we've moved on, and this is where we can make decisions on where we go from here. Do we want to grant or deny? In this instance, we'll grant access. We can provide some additional work notes or comments that go back to the customer, and then we can propose decisions. And then from here, it can go off to any number of approval steps, right? So if I go back to my related records, I can see that I've got a pending approval in here. And from here, we can approve or reject. I'm going to just go ahead and open this record, run through a quick approval. And you'll see that my playbook continues to move forward. So we've accepted the proposal, and we've actually moved on to the decision piece. And what we're able to do from here is actually generate a digital license or permit based off of a template. You'll see that we have a very simple template in our instance. Again, we're not assuming that the ID is generated by ServiceNow. A lot of times it's going to be generated by an integration with another system, but these are completely configurable. So these templates can be defined by you, populated with data from the case pertinent to this particular license. And what that actually does for the external stakeholder is it gives him access to that license or permit. So we'll see that this license or permit here has been generated. He'll then see the information about the license or permit, and then can download it or view it in the platform should he need to. We're just going to go ahead and open it up. And this is the same one that was generated, on the back end. If they had a picture, if you wanted to populate this with a photo or a particular barcode, you can absolutely do that, and that's going to help you in the field when you need to verify licensure, from another agency, perhaps. I'm going to stop there for a second, just see if we have any questions before I move on to that reporting and dashboarding view.
Yep, I was helping answer them as they came in. One was around if this is based on a platform capability like CSM or a purely custom app. This is based off of our public sector digital service solution, which is an industry version of CSM, our customer service management solution, and built off our out-of-the-box playbook for license and permitting found on our ServiceNow store. So those of you that are either have PSDS or interested, this is a playbook that you can download that's pre-built for this use case. We also had another question around, I think, going back to the group email comment earlier. I think they clarified they have multiple folks doing the same job. So can a group be notified of a new request? So yeah, certainly we have groups and queues you can configure. So new requests can be assigned to specific groups and they're notified in platform versus in an email.
Or both, right?
Or
so
both, yes.
Yeah, so you can have them assigned to a group, but they would each individually get an email when it comes in. We also have the concept of multiple people being responsible for a license or permit, so that it's not just assigned to one person. You can assign those people individually if you like. So the platform is configurable to adhere to whatever those business rules might be. All right, just to wrap it up, we're going to take a look at that leadership view. It goes without saying, leadership has to understand how the business is performing. The platform has a great capability around reporting and dashboarding. We never assume that we're going to take over your reporting and dashboarding needs, but it's in the platform should you choose to use it. One of the things that we're great at is understanding the data that we're capturing. So you're able to use our low code reporting capabilities and dashboarding capabilities to construct and configure a dashboard that meets your requirements. We do offer a lot of out-of-the-box reports, though, that you can leverage and you can extend. This is one of those. And so as you'll see, we have different widgets representing different KPIs, some of which are very, familiar visualizations like bar and graph charts, but there's a capability that allows you to understand how your KPIs are reporting over time, and that uses the power of the platform and our analytics hub to not only show you your KPI, but show what that performance might look like over time in one widget. But the great thing too about everything that's inside all these reports and dashboards, they're really built off of real-time data. So I can immediately dive into a specific report or dashboard and and then understand more data about it. Now, from an analytics hub perspective, we can see what that metric might look like over time, but this is demo data, of course. But if this were data that's a little more nuanced, you might need some help understanding where your trends might be, and you also might need some help understanding what your future performance might be based on your previous performance. So we have forecasting capabilities and confidence bands and trending analysis that can be done. Now, from a lot of times, leadership's going to look at a particular dashboard and they're going to say, I might have a dip in performance at a particular time. Maybe that's a part of the process. So a lot of organizations also ask for an ability to do a deep dive into a process. They want to take an X-ray, image of what their process might be. So we have, through a capability called process mining, we're able to really dig through your process and understand the nuances about how your process is performing. And I always say that you can configure the best process in the world, but you really don't know how it's going to act until people touch it. Well, this shows you the output, of the result of how people interact with your process. So we can take a look at the process start to finish. We can see things like where they go from one step to the other. Now, this is not a licensing and permitting use case. It's a different one, but this is based off of real data. So from here, we can see the number of different connections. You can see where things split and pull off. You can see, the different variations that will take and how long their average duration is. So the whole point behind this is to see, not just give you an X-ray picture of your process, but to understand all the ways down the mountain people take to resolve your process. And so, like, if you see a particular point where you could make an improvement, like an X number of those processes or these license requests, are looping back, you can put in changes to better understand, changes to your process, and then compare them against previous runs, just so to see if your process is improving any. All right, I'm going to stop there again, Brittany, and see if there's any other questions. And if not, I can turn it back over to you.
No other questions as of right now, so go ahead and
I will stop sharing.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jimmy, for walking us through that platform, and thank you all so much for your questions so far. We appreciate the collaboration. So we wanted to share with you an example of a permitting modernization effort, U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So prior to ServiceNow, Fish and Wildlife really required a lot of their citizens or businesses to apply through the mail with hard copy, paper and checks. And the processing of these applications was pretty manual, resulting in, slower response times and limited visibility for those that are applying. And really their permitting process is very complex. They have over 83 different types of applications for over 350 different types of activities or permits that they manage. And so with ServiceNow, they were able to create a platform and a digital hub that allows people to apply for certain permits and provide payments, digitally and online for different types of activities, including, importing and exporting of animals, plants, or biomedical sampling, scientific research, and more. So once submitted through the portal, applicants are able to track their permit status online, similar to how Jimmy was showcasing, and using our case management platform, their workforce are really able to kind of track that end-to-end of the permit process, and complete action items as needed. So it really has helped them create more efficiencies and be more digital, reduce a lot of manual process, so improving their customer experience and creating a better experience overall, and complying to specific, IDEA acts and things like that. So with that, that's really the conclusion of today's presentation. If we have any other questions we want to go through or answer, we'll pause for a few minutes there to see if there's any others that you all have. But we really appreciate the collaboration so far.
There is one question. It's quite lengthy. I'm kind of reading through it right now from Olga. Let's see. Yeah, it's a great question, Olga. The question is, can a playbook be set up for a custom process that is specific to another mission objective? Absolutely. You can, our process automation capabilities are a platform feature that you can extend into your specific use cases. One of the things about, what the company is doing as a whole is we give you a platform to accelerate your business processes, but we're also giving you extendable playbooks that you can choose to use or not use, either way. So quick question, another question coming in about document intelligence. Does it function like OCR? It is similar to OCR, but it does use machine learning. The reason why it's a little bit different is that not all of your forms or not all of the different documents that come in are going to be exactly the same, so that it has a model that you actually train to help recognize specific pieces of data that you're looking to capture. Does that make sense? Any other questions?
Yeah, I can see if I can follow up with you, C. Harlow, to provide like a quick video of document intelligence. There's a lot of info about it.
So your follow-up question is, can you do with images? It really depends on what the image is. If it's an image of, like typed text or something, yes, it would work. Handwriting is always a problem, but that's universally true. Not every OCR engine is great at handwritten text, but if your documents are some version of type, some of them are but still images, we can certainly capture those. And that happens a lot with PDFs, for instance. They'll still be images. They'll come in as images, but you can still scrape those.
Any other lingering questions? All right, before you go, we do want to invite you all to our upcoming Federal Forum event on March 21st and 22nd. It is our annual industry event for government and public sector. We usually have over 2,000 plus government users, just industry thought leaders and innovators joining to network, attend ServiceNow and just industry education sessions, hear from different speakers and more. So please feel free to scan this QR code to visit the website, check out our speakers and lineup this year, and register. It is free for our government attendees. So with that, we'll go ahead and conclude the webinar for today. and we'll make sure to follow up with the recording and any further information. So Sarah, I'll pass it back over to you.
Thank you, Brittany and Jimmy. I'd like to thank all of our participants as well as our speakers for being with us today. We hope this information you received has been helpful. If you have any further questions or would like to request more information, please feel free to reach out. Thank you again and have a great day.